Today we're fishing with big baits at this spot here. We're right on low tide, it's a spring tide. It's quite an interesting little mark as the camera pans around. You can see we've got a big gully in front of us, and you see where those waves are breaking, just there. That's obviously a sandbank, but the wind is coming in this direction here, and we're actually going to have to cast right on low tide. Obviously that first movement of the tide's what we like, but we're going to have to cast way over there and then cast back towards us, because there's slightly deeper water that I want to be in just a little bit further off there, and we've got some rocks. There's some rocks there, some rocks to our left as well. So when you are looking at these marks, you've got to look at where you're going to be fishing when the tide comes in a bit. So obviously, once this comes in, there's going to be a nice deep pull there, or fish right on top of that sandbank. Walk out on that sandbank that's opening up a bit, still a bit of tide still to go out, just to get an accurate cast over the waves to my left. Into slightly deeper water. That rod back then, trying to keep it tension on the line to where we want the rod rest to be. The issue, the tide's still going out. So the tide is still going out. Sometimes the wind holds the tide up. I don't think we'll have that problem today, but we're going to be fishing over some sand here. Might have to recast in a minute. Yeah. And then we're just going to put in a squid, just drop that one in there as well, waiting for this, just sort of waiting for that first run of the tide. I didn't expect that sandbank to come out more, but I'll so you can see I've moved the rod rest. Well, that is this is what I mean by that optimism of fishing, isn't it, where you got your first two baits in, anything could be out there. We could blank, we could spend the next 5 hours and not catch a thing. Nice little chop on the water for the bass. Not sure about smoothhound. I'm wondering whether this rod here on the right come out off his spikes. Lovely evening for it. Give a better idea of what we got behind us. So you got like a flat bit of sand, but then there's that gully sort of working behind us. You do have to watch these things on bigger beaches, because you can get cut off, and obviously I should have my waders on really, but yeah, it's always an interesting feature to look for, and that's what we got right in front of us today. There's a theory being the fish will hunt in and around the sandbank and then into those deep pools, especially where it joins with the groin there. Keeping a good eye on those rod tips. There's a lot of black-headed gulls around today. So I do fish with braid, and it does up the bite indication. I've got that direct line to any fish, even if it's just having a little look at the bait. There's something. Got a little inquiry, haven't we? Have we? on my other reel there. So I've got two reels, one's with braid, 15-pound braid, and 18-pound monofilament line. A little bit more stretch in that monofilament can be handy. I'm calling it. It's not a dogfish. Let me have a look. Well, you look at that. It's only got one eye. Oh, how on earth does it manage to survive with one eye? You think that would make all the difference, wouldn't you? I bet this one in the past hasn't chased after many moving baits. No idea why it's got like that. Could have been an angler's hook, or it could have been anything. Nets, deformity from birth, who knows? Yeah, I got a bass. I'm always happy when I got a bass. So that was on the 3-hook flapper, and these lug were really meant for some sole as we got into night time. The bass didn't read the memo and had ignored the bigger baits. Oh, I love bass so much. What a lovely fish to see coming out there. Yeah, so what I'm doing here, firstly apologising for some of the audio issues we had, but these are lugworm, these are gutted lugworm, and I'm putting them on a 3-hook clipped rig. We don't need to clip them on for casting distance, it just protects the worm a little bit in the cast, especially in these windy conditions. I don't know if you're picking up on it, it just really gives you a lift, doesn't it? If you catch a fish, I mean, we could have been heading for hours and hours with nothing, but it seems all worthwhile when you just bring a fish in. I can't tell you how much that lifts my mood. We've looked at it in the channel before, haven't we? You're a little bit down, you're sort of over concentrating, but everything seems a lot more relaxed once you get one. Oh, I do love a bass though. Silver bar. A few people fishing around me today. Interestingly, they all seem to be pumping lug whilst fishing. I've never really got that. I think it's just one extra thing to worry about. Sort of light the bait and concentrate on the fishing, but they're dotted around trying to pump lug and look after a couple of rods. They will benefit for some fresh out worms, I should imagine. We'll find out later. So nothing really beats the fresh peeler crab, big Devon peeler crab. We've got very much a second best today. This is frozen crab. To be honest, it's a little bit disappointing, this bait, because it's a bit washed out. There's no real juices. It's more like putting a soft crab on than a proper peeler. It's quite big, and this time of year crab's always a good bait. I'll just add it. I put this on slightly differently to how I put on a big fresh peeler. A lot neater with a decent bait. And then we're just using a very simple pulley rig. Once I've detangled it, and what happens with this is if the fish takes it, it pulls the hook length, and that'll send the weight right the way up, and it's a little bit easier to retrieve like that. It does leave a little bit of resistance on the line. Sometimes you want just the line going through. If I could get across one thing, you do not need to cast far. There's a reason these bass are in close. You know, they're working off the wave, they're working off these shallow sandbanks, and I've no doubt there's bass hunting in a foot of water out there. Sometimes you have to see it to believe it. I have seen it, and you know, although this channel is a lot about exploring things and trying to find out together, I do know that bass so willing to be in shallow water, especially today. The tide is still going out. Sometimes the wind holds the tide up. I don't think we'll have that problem today. Got two different baits out, and we've got the lugworm, and this is a crab bait. It's a little bit washed out. I'm just going to add a little bit unorthodox lugworm and wrap it on. Half a chance of a smooth hound. Believe it or not, I've had smooth hound on lug and squid, whereas traditionally the crab's been the bait. Very washed out, that crab. Not impressed with the crab bait today. So far the lug has been doing the job, so we'll keep going with that. As I say, I've had half a mind on using this for sole out there. Good summertime fish, the sole. But as soon as I saw that bass come out, I know what I like. Back then, trying to keep it tension on the line to where we want the rod rest to be. The issue, I mean, the tide's still going out. Thank you ever so much everyone that's subscribed to the channel recently. It really helps out. Helps YouTube decide that sea fishing is well watched and well enjoyed in the UK. So, you know, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to subscribe. I don't take it for granted at all that, you know, you press that bell icon and you get notifications whenever I upload a new video. Coming into summer now, so lots of lure fishing still to come. But as you can see, the conditions aren't great for the lures, but we're still out there trying for the bass. It's come back in a bit of a mess, hasn't it? I'm not sure they want that crab at the moment. Sometimes you can, you know, when you're getting rid of it, push it over the hook and round the hook. I'm going to cut away at this with these bait scissors. Make it a bit easier because it's got a lot of the bait elastic on there. Bigger fish around that will want that. Well, normally this rod's quite reliable, but the anti-reverse switch is bust. Another thing broken. But you adapt and overcome. So what we've done here, a bit of a bodge job, but so I can carry on fishing. Don't need to change reels. I've just hooked the line under the winding arm, and I'm going to improve that with a sock. Every good angler carries a sock with them. You'll be amazed how often you use it. I'll leave it at that. Not all the tips you get on this channel will be genius, but it's helping us out. Look, baits are still coming back with nothing on it. Sometimes you do get these baits are coming back with nothing on it. It's funny, isn't it, with fishing it. I was totally elated with that bass, and yet you just want one more. Just want another one. I'm sat here looking at these rod tips, just, you know, willing something else, at least to show you something. There's always an advantage when it gets a bit dark. This isn't something I've caught. My dad caught a trout. Thoroughly enjoyed eating it. I just thought I'd use little bits of bait. I'm just going to tip the lug with strips on the belly here because it's very tough skin on this. And whenever it makes a difference, it should help the worm stay on the hook a bit better. So tough. We caught a bass. I've got to be happy with that. If you like bass, check that one out over there. Yeah, thanks for watching. As always, make a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you.